Hey podcast, just before we get you to this episode, I wanted to invite you to join us at pageantlaunch.com. We are starting the world's first dedicated pageant review site, and we want you to join our launch team. All you need to do is put in your email address. It's completely free. We are looking to make the pageant industry safe, transparent, and fair, and we'd love your input on how to do that. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, whack in your email address, and let's get you to this episode. Hey everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project with you. Hope you're doing well on this Monday evening. I have Lauren Parkinson with me today. Lauren, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Here I come.
So. Oh, there we are.
Okay.
Shock.
For today is it Lauri or Lauri?
It is Lauri, yeah.
Lauri. Okay, I've just been saying it wrong all this time. Lauri Knowler,
You're fine.
Earth UK 2020 finalist. Lauri, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Very nervous. First time. I don't know why I'm so clammy.
Why are you so? I forget that we've done it so many times. This is actually PPJ 34. So we've done this a few times. Danielle, we're missing Danielle today. Danielle had a bit of bad news. So Danielle, I hope we'll be there for you. This group always bonds together. But what I was going to get, so let's start with Lauri. For our audience who may not know who you are, and in fact, I don't think I've interviewed someone who's been in Miss Earth. I'm just trying to think of Australia. I have interviewed Miss Earth Australia, but not while she was Miss Earth Australia. So do you want to introduce yourself and a bit about the system as well?
Okay. Well, I'm Lauri Knowler, and I've competed in Miss Earth. This will be the third time, Miss Earth England. Most people know me from the Miss GB system, so I've hopped to a different system. And Miss Earth is all about beauties with a cause. So it's an environmental purpose, and it's a pageant with a very eco-friendly and environmental message. And each girl has to come up with their own unique environmental message to put across to the world. In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. Sounds good. I'm just obviously forgetting that I just interviewed Marissa Page Butler, who obviously is in this earth. I'm just like, brain fart. And Laura, how's your day been? You've gone back to work for the first time today?
Yes, so I'm a teacher, but I have been shielding for the past 12 weeks because I live with my mother, who was in the high risk category here in England during lockdown. So I went to work for the first time today. And sorry, I was panting whilst I was messaging you earlier because I was running into work and I was so nervous. I didn't know that teachers could get first day of school nerves as well. So that was a new thing on me.
That's fine. How big are they? How old are the kids you teach? Like little ones, medium ones, big ones?
Little ones. So I teach what would be year 5. So they would be about 9-10 years old. And they're on that cusp where they start going into adulthood really quite early, but they're still little. So they'll start talking about stuff like Fortnite, and you're like, oh yeah, that is a really good hang on, how old are you? And you forget.
I coached for a very long time, and I coached everyone on the spectrum from like 4 or 5 years old to like 74, 84. And actually, the age group you're talking about, Lauri, I actually quite like that age because they're old enough not to just start screaming in the middle of the day having a tantrum. Well, most of them anyway. But they're not so old that they give you all the attitude yet. Like you're still the teacher and you still get the respect. I don't know if that's the case for you. I got the respect.
It definitely is. I get occasional sass, but then when I give them the look, that teacher look of "excuse me," they automatically go, "Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Knowler, I didn't mean it."
That's a lie. I'm sure they did mean it. Just can you give us that stare again? What's the stare that you give them?
Oh, the stair. You want the stair? It's like a proper blue steel. Okay, hang on. There it is. And I just don't say anything. And they know they've done wrong.
It's that age, though. It's like where they try and build relationships with their class and they want to be funny, but they also don't want to disrespect anyone.
Yeah, but that changes.
Certainly.
When you're a teenager, you don't care about the respect. So suddenly it's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know what your school systems are like in the UK, but particularly if you work in a public school, and there's some sort of dodgier schools, obviously, where it's more working class. I feel sorry for the female teachers. They've had some. I have a friend who's a teacher, and she's relayed some horrific experiences. They don't hold back.
Oh. I have had my strain.
School, so my auntie used to teach me, and instead of calling her like Miss Parkinson, I used to go, "All right, Auntie Han," and she's like, "No, I'm Miss Parkinson in school." I'm like, "Okay."
I would not.
I haven't had that experience yet.
In school, you would be. Are you a horrific student? I just feel like you out of control all the time. Nothing but stress. Am I right? Nothing but trouble.
No, in primary school, so like younger school, I was really, really good in school, and I used to like sacrifice my lunch times to go and play tennis, and I was really athletic and enjoyed that part. But when I got to secondary school, I kind of, it was probably, And if I didn't like my class or my subject, I would be like, no, not learning. And I wish
you'd be the cool kid at the back of the class.
Yeah, but I look back now and I'm like, I wish I would have paid attention more in school.
Wow, you're getting old, Lauren.
I know.
You're at that age where you look
come
back...
in and say that to my class. I'd really appreciate that.
I'm like, you should listen, because honestly, no, school was kind of like, I kind of missed school though, because it was easy. It was a lot easier than being an adult.
Simpler, yeah. You know what you have to do. You turn up, you sit down, you shut up, you don't talk to your neighbors, and you listen to the teacher. That's very simple compared to at the moment, God knows what we're supposed to be doing. Got a question for Lauri from Zani about how your preps are going for Miss Earth England, which we'll get to. Hannah Golding here has said, "Hey Hannah, kids are brutal. My mum is a teacher and covered my class and told me off for calling her mum." I don't like.
I always used to call the teacher mum though by accident. Instead of going miss, I used to go mum, and I'm like, and then everyone in the class would be like, "Oh my God, you just called her mum." I'm like,
the sheer shock on children's faces when they call me mum. They go, "Oh, I'm sorry." It's just like they know that they're never going to forget that for the rest of their lives.
That's not an isolated issue, though. I have a friend over here. When she was in school, she was getting taught by a male teacher, and I think she'd fallen asleep or something, and he woke her up by saying her name, by yelling her name, and it's a he, right? Bear in mind. And she wakes up and goes, "Oh, sorry, Mum. That was a lot." She remembers that one to this day. I think the teacher remembers it as well. But before we get to Lauri's Miss Earth prep, Lauren, why don't you catch us up with how your week's been? We missed you last week, and your room is in a state. So why don't you explain it so people don't think you suddenly become homeless?
Breakdown on Monday. I had a very bad breakdown, and then this is what happens to my room. I rip all the wallpaper off and just have a lovely time doing that. But no, in all fairness, we've been wanting to redecorate my room for so long, because when I moved back from uni, this had like awful vile wallpaper on, so we just painted it all white, and we were like, when we get more time and more money, we will strip all the wallpaper off and redecorate. So we were washing my windows today, like getting them all clean, because I'm getting new blinds, and then we decided to rip all the wallpaper off today, and then we've been in B&Q all afternoon trying to pick wallpaper.
What's B&Q?
It's like a
hardware store.
Yeah. It's a huge hardware store. You can get anything and everything in there. So apart from light bulbs recently.
Oh no, we've got light bulbs in ours. I just got a new light fit in, and then got the bulbs to go with it, and I also got some really, really expensive wallpaper. Which I'm kind of looking back now, I'm like, I could have got it so much cheaper, but I wanted Julian McDonald wallpaper, and it was so nice.
Well, I bet as soon as you put it on, it will look fabulous, though.
It's really, really nice.
What's the finished product look like? What's your room going to look like? Can you paint us a picture at the end?
I don't know. We only decided today that we were going to rip the wallpaper off.
I mean, you've got the wallpaper, right? You've bought the wallpaper. You must have some idea what you want to.
Do you want to see the wallpaper? I'll take you on a
Yes,
little
I
tour
do.
now. We'll go to find the wallpaper. I don't know where my
Look at
mum's
all
put
those
it.
tattoos on the wall. I told you, Laurie, this is not a very. We don't. For those of you watching, just in case you're wondering, I don't ever turn up to these with a game plan of what we're going to talk about because. No.
There's no point. There's no point. It's
Right. Okay.
we're just having a free flow conversation. Friends catching up.
I've got the wallpaper.
Louise
I
makes
ripped it
a
off in the store. I
appearance.
took the sample. Okay.
Please don't say that you're shoplifting live on the.
No,
podcast.
you're allowed. You're allowed to take a sample of it.
I ripped it off unless I stole it. So good.
This is the wallpaper.
Okay. Oh, it looks frosty.
Yeah,
Very
it's got like
fruity,
little
yeah.
specks of I don't know whether you can see, but like sparkle in it.
Yeah, I can see the shimmer.
So that's gonna be on this wall here with my mirror as well.
Well, it goes very well with the
So
mirror.
that's what we've got so far. And then the rest of the
okay.
room is just gonna be like white, I think. So we're going for white and like grey, silvery.
Oh.
I bought myself a new lamp last week, so this is kind of the new lamp as well.
Ooh.
That's quite
Frozen
cool.
Palace.
Yeah, it's whites and silvers and greys. I was expecting more pinks and warm colours.
Well,
so
do you know what I was thinking of? Like when
No, I
we
don't.
come to sell this house, it's just going to be so easy to sell. So,
because of your room.
like, Mum, when we want to get rid of you and put you in a home, I can sell the house so easy if everything's just plain.
Just forget everywhere else. Let me just take you to the room.
Oh. All right, so Caitlin here said a girl in my format school was a daughter of the head of year. There were a few stares when she called him that. Yeah, see that just I think that's cruel and unusual punishment. Just bullying in schools is bad enough. If your mum or your dad is one of the teachers, good luck to you. That's all I'm going to say. That's what Lauren's been up to. Lauren, what's the estimated time that this project will be finished?
So we have a painter and decorator come in Wednesday to have a look.
That's why you put that on the Facebook.
I'm going back to it, so I'm just leaving it to my mum, to be honest, to get it all organised whilst I'm working.
Let me get this straight. You bought everything, left it all there, and then went, that's yours.
Yeah.
Lauren,
It's your issue now.
I mean, this doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, that's exactly how Lauren would do it.
We see me and Lauren have only met in passing, so
You know what?
we kind of like ships in the night.
The thing is, though, I'm providing the money, so I've just got to leave it to someone else to do. If I'm putting the money down on it all.
Yeah, that's what they say. Money talks and BS walks. I won't say the actual word. No. I think at some point this podcast, I don't know what you guys call it. Is it the threshold, like the time at night when it becomes adult? What's watershed?
The watershed. Yeah, the watershed.
Why is it called the watershed? What's a watershed?
The what?
Oh, I knew this.
I've never heard of this before.
I knew this. It came up in a pub quiz once.
You start saying like adult things, and literally before that, on public TV, you're not allowed to do say certain things because kids could be watching. But after that time, it's all fair game.
Yeah, it's like it comes from something, but I can't remember what it was. It's going to really annoy me now. I'm going to have to Google it later. Watershed.
Watershed, as in literally water, what you drink, and a shed, what some people live in. Hopefully not. The horrible
shed made of water.
Watershed.
The shed of water.
So whilst Lauren does her Google research, Laurie, would you like to quickly catch us up on this? Nani has asked Laurie how your preparations for Miss Earth England. Do you want to catch us up on that quickly?
Yeah, sure. So I initially planned everything for back in February because the original final was supposed to be at the end of February, so the week before Miss Galaxy. So I had everything ready, and then we were told that it was going to be postponed for various different reasons. So I'm a little bit ahead. So I've got everything sorted, but it's also given me time to eat cake. So that has been a big part of my preparation because, you cannot deny a British girl a bit of cake.
You made that sound so it's given me time to eat cake. Really?
Priorities.
You've got to get them straight. First priority, eat cake. Second bit, then get into evening gown. Cake always comes first. So
one day we'll have an episode of this where we don't end up talking about food. That just doesn't happen. Anyway, Laura,
I just added to the trend.
Yeah. Pageant girls always talk about food. So apart from the cake, Miss Earth has been UK. We're talking about has been. Is it UK or England? Beg your pardon.
Well, it's actually it was relaunched back in January as UK. It used to be separate, but now it's merged as UK. So I don't know why, but it has.
Thank you, Lauren, for that.
Lovely.
That's another thing that girls seem to excel at is chronically dying phones. So it's Miss Earth UK. It's been actually rescheduled. You're talking about Miss Earth UK. It's been rescheduled to the day after or the same weekend as Pageant Girl Weekender, though, which
I know. Yeah, because all the girls who originally said that they were coming were saying, "Oh, it's now the same weekend as the Pageant Girl Weekender," which I knew nothing about. It just goes to show how much I'm out of the loop.
That's the same date as Miss Wales too.
Oh, that's right.
No way. Oh no!
Pageants on one weekend.
Like this, I swear this happened like a couple of years ago, where Miss Earth, Miss Universe, and Miss England were all on the same day. This was like a couple of years ago.
Or can discuss which date they won.
So someone, but they should move that because they're major pageants as well, all three of them, and I think everyone who's attending them would want to attend all three. So it's horrible to think that it could be the first time we're allowed out of quarantine to join back to Pageant Land, but we have to pick between three major pageants.
Anyway.
It's going to be like a pageant Hunger Games.
Miss Wales is cancelled though for that date. But obviously with some of the restrictions being lifted in the UK with regards to COVID-19, whether it could still go ahead on that date, we don't know, but just wait and see.
Okay, so basically watch this space. All right, so that's at August. It's like the first weekend of August or something. Isn't it like 7th or 8th of August? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, the 7th is the Friday.
Miss Wales was originally the date.
Okay, all right. Zani here clearly knows about Miss Earth. He said Miss Earth England and Northern Ireland. Well, can you guys catch me up with what is happening with COVID? So over here in Australia, we thought we had it beat, and then the state to the south of me, which is Victoria, the capital, which is Melbourne, they've had a second spike, and they're recording their biggest numbers since March. So that's not looking good. They're talking about having to reimpose restrictions, maybe even local, because they've identified localized hotspots, and they're talking about having to maybe lock down individual suburbs again. Whereas my state, New South Wales and Sydney, it's almost back to normal. Mind you, it's a very weird normal. I caught up with a good friend this week. It was weird being out in public again, really weird. I can't explain it, and I can't tell you why. It's just very odd. But what's happening in the UK with, Lauren's in Wales. Lauri, where are you?
So I'm in Buckinghamshire, so I'm about half an hour outside of London, just north.
Okay, so you're so what's happening in England?
Oh, so I can only really say from a teacher's point of view that Boris Johnson really wanted to have children in just before the summer holidays. And we almost weed ourselves a little bit when we were told that we may have to open the schools for summer. Luckily enough, I had a boss who was lovely enough to say, I'm not bringing my teachers in over the summer because that's really nasty. So with us, and there have been more shielding letters that have gone out. So people like my mother who would need to shield need to stay in until the 1st of August, until they've completely. Our numbers have gone down, but at the same time, it's still quite prevalent that it's there. And I've also heard recently that the town of Leicester, which usually holds Miss GB, they have to go in their own mini lockdown, which is been in the news today, which I find really quite odd.
Announced Leicestershire has gone into localized lockdown. What happened in Leicestershire? Why did that have to go into lockdown?
They've seen pockets of a second spike, so yeah, so they're not entirely sure. I think they're going to decide overnight whether or not to lock it down as a city. But that's it. It just came as a sudden shock. But yeah.
Okay, Lauren, what about in Wales? What's happening in Wales with the lockdown and Corona and all that stuff?
So in terms of kind of like our workplace and returning to work, we're kind of in phase 2 of the furlough scheme. Now, furlough was brought in so that obviously people weren't getting into debt. So the government were paying 80% of your wage. So now we're in phase 2, which means that I can return back to work. So I work 4 days a week. I can return back for the 2 days in the office alone. So there's not allowed to be any other employee in the office. And obviously safety measures are all put in. We've got screens up. People aren't really supposed to come in the office unless they're a client originally before lockdown happened. And then I'm part-time furlough, so I'll be getting my 2 days a week, 80 of the day. But we've just heard that a factory has now had 50 plus positive tests of coronavirus due to them not allowing someone off sick. So they came into work because they couldn't afford to not be paid. They came into work knowing that they could potentially have coronavirus, and they spread it throughout the factory. And that was just in North Wales, so about an hour and a half down the road from me.
Wow.
It's where Ellie Corcoran lives, actually, junior team Great Britain. So I don't know whether Wales are going to put something into place where if there is a huge spike somewhere, they have to go into lockdown. I don't know whether that's going to be discussed, but still at the moment, I think people are supposed to shield obviously until August the 1st, but Wales is still very much in lockdown. I know England's pubs are allowed to open on July 4th. We're not allowed. Even though I'm on the border, like literally I can walk 5 minutes down the road to the pub that's in England, but I've never been there before, so they're not letting anyone in there unless they're a regular customer before COVID happened. But to be honest, I don't think I really want to go anywhere. I'd rather just go to work because I have to, and stay home and do my walks. Yeah, it's still very much a weird environment to be around. And we went out today to B&Q because obviously we needed wallpaper, and my mum literally just had something in her throat, so she's clearing her throat, and people are like, I'm like, Mum, stop coughing, people might think we've got COVID. Because it's like, you're scared, you still are scared.
Yeah, you have people on either end of the spectrum that I've noticed when I've gone out. You have people who are either really anxious and they've got huge face masks and gloves, or they genuinely don't care and they're touching everything and they're looking at different products, and I was like, oh wow, can we not just have a happy medium here? Just be safe.
Yeah, I think there has to be some sort of self-awareness and responsibility that you have to take to help others. Whether people want to do that or not, most people don't. And you know, I've seen it numerous times. People really don't care when they go shopping. I've had people come right by me and I'm kind of like, whoa, okay. But I mean, I'm kind of one of those people that goes to the supermarket and does the shop, and I'll sanitize my hands and the trolley and stuff like that. But then I get home and I'm thinking it's still going to be on the produce, like it's still going to be on the cans. Like I don't get home and spray everything, because is anyone spraying everything when they get home?
I used to do that when I first got back from the UK. If I'm honest, I didn't spray every individual
You
product, but
sprayed yourself.
I sprayed the bags, and I sprayed like my phone, but not so much now. But I was told that you guys in the UK might have to bring the army in because people are being stupid. Is that the case? Are people just like cutting loose and going to the beaches and everything and being stupid about the whole thing?
Yeah, people are going
Yeah.
to the beach.
Yeah, it was a
Is,
thing right at the beginning of lockdown as well, where the army was on the motorway.
Right. Okay. Gee, all right. This is horrible. So
I think there was people patrolling the borders of Wales.
Ooh.
I don't. So, are they allowed to go to the beach, or like are they allowed like with social distancing restrictions?
They can, but the thing is,
I believe
is that,
they are because it's.
Yeah, it's the thing that I don't understand is, yeah, you can go to the beach, but the public toilets aren't open, so that's a bit nasty.
I don't know what's going on.
I
Some
mean,
of these policies.
It's the
just
same
make no
here
sense
though,
to me.
because we're allowed to go locally and walk, and we have a river that people tend to congregate and have barbecues down there. You're not supposed to because it's obviously a farmer's land, but he allows people to go and sit by the river if it's a nice day. But there's no social distancing. People are meeting other people down there, and I know you're allowed to meet you're allowed to meet a household outside, but as long as you follow the social distancing rules. But people don't.
Right.
And I mean, we've seen on our local notice board that bottles of wine have been smashed and the sheep are getting all cut up from the glass and stuff like that. And the amount of litter that's been left there. But that's where it comes to people's lack of respect though, and so like their awareness of what they're doing in their surroundings, and I think that's where you have to take some responsibility for yourself.
Definitely. That's disappointing. I know Imogen Chapman put up a post about somewhere near her was completely just filled with litter, and that's one of the things I've never been more grateful that I live in Australia than I have been throughout this whole entire corona crisis, because us Aussies tend to be fairly sensible about things like this, and we're not having issues like that where when we do reopen, people just decide to throw trash everywhere. I mean, that's just disrespectful. It's stupid. Caitlin here said, I'm in two minds about the pubs opening will boost my work as a taxi. Then I'm around more the public than normal. I have masks and clean regularly, but how do you control drunks? Well, you can't control a drunk.
You can't.
No.
I don't know how you do it. I wouldn't want to pick up a drunk. I don't know if Uber has started working around here. I know Uber Eats is working, and they got to leave stuff outside your door. They obviously can't have any contact. But I would not want to be in your position. Sorry, Caitlin, at the moment. That would be really worrying. You don't have any idea where these people have been. And Joe has said,
though, like my job is based in an office and I'm on my own, so I really I can social distance in my work. But if you're a taxi driver or you're in an employment that you're constantly having to see people face to face, that's where the difficulties lie.
Yeah,
is because you could like, what are the chances that you're going to get it?
I don't know. So my friend and I, we were staying at a hotel because obviously we're not going to do an Airbnb at the moment because you don't expect that a person's house is going to be sanitized properly. And you check in at reception, and they've changed it now. And I don't know. I'd be curious to see if they've done it in the UK as well. They literally put like plastic Perspex face shields in front of all of the workers, so you wouldn't be able to cough on them like that. There's a lot of places that aren't taking cash, etc., and there's hand sanitizers everywhere. It's like it's become the new hip decoration to decorate your hotel with hand sanitizers. So have they started taking those sorts of precautions in the UK as well?
Yeah, I've seen a lot when I've gone out shopping where they've had where they have the shields, and generally they say card only, no cash at the supermarket. But apart from that, I mean, at the school, we just tell the children to wash their hands, and we say, look, aeroplane arms, keep away. And those are the kind of precautions that we've been taking. I know, aeroplane arms.
That's what I should start doing in the supermarket.
There we go.
We'll be hitting everyone.
It is actually really quite funny because the
When I
children
went
do
to-
start running around like that.
When I went to get the wallpaper today, there was a massive queue outside, and they're like, you need to grab a trolley, and when you go and get your trolley, there's like a sanitation place where you can sanitize your trolley, your hands, and there's a one-way system around the store. And then when you get to the till, you have to leave your car, go behind the line. They put everything through the till, and then you pay. And they've got a big what do you call it, like a plastic
screen
thing.
Yeah. Like a screen.
Plastic.
Perspex, screen.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys
there are, like, even in my work, we've got a Perspex screen. And
right. Okay. It sounds like you guys are sort of where we were maybe a month ago. Our restrictions were a bit tighter then, and then, as I said, the numbers came down. Because Australia, the big advantage we have, it's not just politicians have done a great job. We're so far from everyone, and we're literally isolated by the ocean. So New Zealand and Australia both have that massive advantage. But it does sound like you guys are sort of where we were a month ago. Now, as I said, one of our states is having a second spike. But whenever you guys get back to normal, I'll be interested to see if you find it very weird. The whole experience just felt very weird. There's still some places that aren't
I'm just
open.
nervous to go back to work. Like, I'm actually so nervous to get back to talking to people every day and
being around people, and like if you know them well. Like, I was catching up with a friend. Do you hug them or not? Like, or should I shake hands? But then you're like, well, shaking hands would probably be worse. Maybe I should hug them. And then you have this awkward, like, you're literally talking to your friend going, should I hug you? And like,
it's
I don't know.
Hug.
It's an air hug, yes. I was going to say, do virtual hugs at the school, because I'm very loving with my children. Oh, we can't do the elbows. We can't do the elbows at the school, but we go virtual hug. Because, the children get a little bit carried away with them because they just walk around going like that, virtual hug. But
God, they don't like they belong in the asylum. Because I remember back at Galaxy, this is when the whole thing was just kicking off, and the official word was we're not allowed to hug. But yeah, in pageant land, I mean, good luck with that. And like by day in, everyone I was hugging everyone. I don't know. Maybe the whole thing is my fault. But it's just like, it's normal, because especially for me, I know these people. I've seen them on screen so often. I've never met them in person. I'm not going to stand there like some awkward, psycho and just go like, hi, I can't touch it. You just hug people, right? So anyway.
I mean, to be honest, I was hugging the people I wanted to hug and the people that I didn't want to hug. I was like, Holly said we have to do this.
Well, I went up to Dion at Galaxy and I went, oh my goodness, hi, and gave her a huge hug, and she looked at me as if I was nuts, and I was like, oh, I just hugged you. I'm so sorry.
You've infected her. Too late. But that's... I'll have to remember that when we do go back to normal. Everyone I don't want to hug, it's like, oh yeah, you might still have corona, so I can't hug you. I'll have to. That's a good way of getting out of it. I'll
just
have
cough.
Just go around with people spray.
Give me a hug. I'm not feeling so good. Give me a hug. Yeah, no. Joe here said, I know people that are washing everything they buy when they get home. Well, I guess to each their own. Kev said, good thought. I only hand sanitize. My cupboard is full of shopping and I don't know where it's spent. But this is true. You pick it up from the supermarket and you don't know who's been touching it. But I mean, someone had to put it on the shelf, right? And the whole thing with it, you don't know how long it survives on surfaces. So it actually makes sense. But as I said, Australia is sort of further along the curve. Like we've almost, for now anyway. You can go to the beach. Bournemouth is an easy access beach. Normally people will be abroad. UK craving a beach. Yeah, I've been to the UK. I've been to the beaches. They're very different to the Australian beaches. Your beaches. Yeah. I've said this to my friend, is literally where the land stops and the ocean begins. For you guys, that's a beach. But
yeah, it is.
We have a slightly different requirement. We need like sand. You guys, it's like, oh, there's the ocean. This is a beach, and you look down, it's like that's stone and rocks, probably some grass. Welcome to the beach. I'm like, yay! Why did I come to you?
It really depends on the beach that you go to. So if you go to Bournemouth, it's like a classic seaside town, as well as if you go to somewhere like Southend, where it's like a cobbled beach, you're like, oh, that is literally the ocean over there. But why do I not feel a beach? Why is there not sand?
Is that what it's called? A cobbled beach?
Yes,
that makes it sound That's a much better way of describing it than I do. So it's like the ocean, the land ended. There's your beach, a cobbled beach. I can't remember where I was. Also, I wanted to try UK fish and chips because apparently that's an English or British institution. And,
with salt and vinegar, lots of vinegar.
Okay, that's a whole different story. That's a good way of having an argument in pageant land, is arguing about food. Just don't do it. It's my advice. But this shop literally was advertising that they had the world's best fish and chips. So obviously I couldn't resist, and I went in, had said fish and chips, and let's just say the beach wasn't the most disappointing thing that I had that day. Let's just put it that way.
Oh no, because it depends what you.
Well,
had
we
on
have
chips.
a beach house. We have a beach house, and because we have it open to rent as well, like on a holiday site, we obviously have to have electric reports and stuff like that, keep it all up to date. And it just so happened that whilst quarantine was happening, the electrical report ran out, so we had to go and get it done. And my uncle is an electrician, so because it's a part of the family, he was like, let me just drive there, I'll get it all done, I'll even mow the lawn and make sure that the building's all okay. And he was literally mowing the lawn, and my auntie the neighbour must have said something to her, and the neighbour was like, you need to leave here, you're coming in and infecting our village and all this. And my auntie's like, what? Do you know who I am? Like, my mum and dad own this property, like it's ours, we're coming here to do the electrical report. Oh, people were just going crazy. And I get it, because obviously there must have been people coming just to visit the beach and stuff like that. But she just couldn't believe that she was getting abuse off the neighbours. Like, she also we've had this, it's been in the family for like years. It was my great grandfather's, so it's been a bungalow that we've had, a beach house that we've had for so long. She just couldn't believe that now a fully grown adult was getting shouted at by someone she's known for her whole life. I
can believe it. I've seen a lot of stupidity in 2020, so I can believe it. It's a shame. Yeah. What has Caitlin said? Her word. Okay, yes, sorry, Caitlin. I can assume that taxi drivers aren't fond of Uber. I'm in a local area, so I don't have Uber. I love the late nights, normally picking up from pubs, and have been fortunate till now, but still a worry. Yeah, it's something that I would want to do. Joe is going back Saturday, dreading it. Oh, that's a shame. I thought you'd be looking forward to it. Getting out of the house. See, this is one of the. I think I told Joe, our hairdressers never shut. In fact, even at the peak of the crisis where everything was shut, hairdressers were still allowed to operate, and it was a bit of a weird thing because our Prime Minister decided that the policy would be you can go and have a haircut, but it has to be obviously social distancing, whatever, but it has to be 30 minutes or less.
Oh, okay.
And people
is
were
there
like,
a time? Can you not catch coronavirus in 30 minutes?
Apparently not.
It doesn't take long to debunk, and our Prime Minister is a dude, so that probably explains it all. So people were like, okay, so we can go in for a cut, but we can't have a color. I think that policy was in existence I think it was one of the shortest existing policies. I think it survived for 24 hours because it's like people like, what, you can't catch it in 1 hour, like half an hour? So, okay, 30 minutes is okay, but 31 minutes, like, no. So, yeah.
You cannot get an appointment booked, though. You cannot get an appointment booked. Like, I tried to ring my hairdressers.
Well, you can if your mother's a hairdresser.
Oh, it's all right for some.
And my sister's a beautician, so I'm booked in to get a pedicure as soon as she's back.
Oh.
Well, that's all that matters. And Lauren is looked after. Screw the rest of the world. As long as Lauren's looked after, it's all good.
I'm winning in life. Don't worry.
Joe, if you're watching, how is your appointment book looking when you do open up? Because I saw your post about having issues with it. So let us know how busy you are. Kev has said Cornish beaches are the best. Is that from Cornwall?
Yeah, Cornwall. Yeah.
Okay. I've been to Cornwall yet.
Yeah, they are beautiful.
Fish and chips with salt minus the vinegar. Yeah, I've never understood. It's also, you guys have, is it malt fit? No, brown sauce. What?
Brown sauce, yeah. Brown sauce. Do you not do brown sauce? No? Oh, okay. Just me.
No.
I'm a ketchup girl. Or a Nando's Pyrenees girl.
You see, usually I go with a bit of barbecue. Barbecue.
Oh, you have barbecue as
yeah,
well.
like Bob.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can judge a
Oh, what's
person
brown
by
sauce
what they
then?
dip their chip in.
What happens if I dip
Brown
my chip
sauce
in
is
nothing?
like
Then you just
Am I
have plain
psychopath?
chip.
I
Brown
hate
sauce
dipping my chips in anything. Yeah, brown
like
sauce.
very vinegary.
Oh, I thought brown sauce was just your guys' word for
Brown
barbecue sauce.
No. So brown sauce is a condiment served with the food, normally dark brown in color. The ingredients include a varying combination of tomatoes, molasses, dates, apples, tamarind,
Molasses?
spices, vinegar, and sometimes raisins. Didn't know that. Thank you,
I
Google.
didn't know about the raisins.
And neither did
That sounds
I.
very fancy. That almost sounds like a fancy
gross.
gravy or something. It's okay, but there you go.
It's
gross.
Because I used to have it on a fish sandwich, on a fish finger sandwich, brown sauce. That's what I used to do. But then I moved to ketchup.
What's a fish finger? A fish finger sandwich? You put fish fingers in sandwiches?
Right. Basically,
Is this a
fishes have
butty thing?
fingers, and you cut them off, remove the
Oh,
bones,
Lord,
and put
shut
them
up.
in like a chicken nugget form.
Yeah,
Is
but
this a fish finger butty?
I have the
What a
vegan
butty
equivalent, and it's beautiful. And I usually put it in a bread roll, and it has to be a crusty bread roll as well. I don't know about you, Lauren, but
Did you say you have the vegan equivalent?
I don't like fish fingers though.
What's the
yeah,
vegan equivalent for fish? I've been a vegan. I never had a vegan equivalent of fish.
I genuinely don't know. But when I was craving a fish finger sandwich once, I saw that Quorn did a vegan fish finger equivalent. So I was like, oh, that solves all of my problems. So now I have it on a Sunday. I want to treat myself.
Oh, you have it on the day Sunday. I thought you meant you have it on like an ice cream sundae. I was about to vomit. Oh, God. I don't know. My friend was telling me about putting French fries in ice cream. So I don't know what you guys do. I mean, you're putting fingers in crusty bread rolls, but they're vegan. I don't know. Brown sauce, mushy peas is the other one. Mushy peas is just overcooked peas, but you turn it into like some delicacy. And like Lauren doesn't have salt on any of her fries, which is probably still out of everything we've talked, the weirdest thing is that you have fries and no salt. Of all the things to not have.
Why is that weird? I just don't like salt.
Well, it depends really, because if you have proper chip shop chips, then yeah, you can put salt on it. But if you had like, I don't know, like McCain's oven chips, then yeah, I wouldn't put salt on them.
I don't put salt on anything, like not on my fries.
I only have salt on chip shop chips. Nothing else.
I'm traumatized from the Red Sea in Egypt, where I swallowed too much water, and a doctor had to come and see me. And I had a needle in my bum. Right, that is why I don't have salt.
I'm trying my best to be sympathetic and go, oh, that's so traumatic, but I can't.
It was very traumatic.
I can't.
I don't. Are you actually dead serious? I don't know whether to take you serious or not. The whole thing just sounds made up. I think I need to ask Louise. You went to the Red Sea, swallowed water, then had a needle in your bum. What does a needle? What if you drink too much?
Egypt, and because basically I had too much salt water and I was throwing up and it was coming out of every end and I was dehydrated and the doctor had to put a needle in my bum.
There's only two ends.
Because I was so dehydrated.
So you must have. So were you in Egypt? Were you in Egypt?
Yeah.
So oh, you got Egypt tummy. Oh, that's a thing. Ooh.
I don't know what it was. I was very, very young at the time and we were snorkeling so much and I kept like, I didn't know how to snorkel properly. So the water was like going in the snorkel and I was like choking on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
This water tastes funny.
Someone's put some salt in this one.
And it was so salty and now I hate salt.
Okay.
Don't blame you for that.
Now it makes sense. It's still weird, but at least weirdness makes sense. A needle in your bum.
I don't think I have any traumatic food stories. No.
Lauren also, way back on our very first one of these, Lauren told us a story about how she choked on a Malteser as well.
I was literally just about to say that on Halloween. I choked on a Malteser.
How many brushes with death have you had just
I also choked on porridge as a child.
How do you cook them porridge? It's
because
just.
my mum was like force feeding me as a baby. But when basically it was Halloween and I was lying on the floor and I was throwing Maltesers up and trying to catch them, and it just went straight down, and I was like to my sister going, I couldn't like breathe. And then my mum I ran in. I remember, I don't know what it was, but I was in the kitchen with my mum and she just tipped me upside down and was like shaking me from the legs. And then my dad fell down the stairs trying to come to me.
I genuinely don't know why I'm laughing because it sounds horrible.
But it was funny. Like, I look back now and it was actually funny.
Oh, I think the worst that's ever happened to me was I had a
but then the chocolate melted. Yeah, the chocolate melted, and then obviously the malt in it just melted away, and I was fine. Then I could breathe again.
I remember that back from the very first episode, that story, and the story about how your mum just shook you upside down. This is why I said I would not want to teach Lauren. Like, can you imagine a kid going around like choking on a Malteser and the most innocuous food, and then like drinking all the salt water and eating a needle in the bum? It's just like, I can't deal with that. That's
what I would have a permanent
my tooth out in
adult
school
with
as well. That's fun.
You what?
Well, I would just have like
I knocked this tooth out in school.
What?
How did you do that?
When I was in I don't really remember, but I remember just having a straw in my mouth, and it was a really tough straw because it was like, do you remember in school you used to get the Oasis in a carton?
Yes.
And in the vending machines they would come out, and the straw that was with them was really, really hard. And I was just chewing on it, and someone knocked me, and my tooth just cracked, and half of it came out.
That's one way to pull a tooth out. Hey, kids.
No, it was an adult tooth.
Oh.
Yeah. So now I have half a false adult tooth here.
I want to look at that next time because I never noticed. So obviously the dentist has done a really, really good job. And this has just turned into Lauren's multiple accidents throughout her life. We're lucky to have you here, Lauren, tonight. It sounds like you've survived a lot. Very
I've
traumatic.
never broke a bone, though.
And then after we hang up on this podcast, you're going to trip over something in the background, and then we'll take care of that too.
There goes the new wallpaper. It's gone.
Yeah, me. Joe has said we have to wear visors. What you mean across the?
Oh yeah, you have to wear like face shields.
I have one somewhere.
If you have to get proper
so it's
close.
like a band here, and it's got like the see-through. Yeah.
Wow. We didn't
got loads downstairs ready to go back to work.
Why not just a face mask? Why a full-on visor? That would be horrific to wear for an extended period of time. You'd just be all sweating behind it.
No, I think it's better than wearing a mask because the mask restricts the breathing. So when you're a hairdresser and you're like blow dry and it gets too hot, so the visor it doesn't touch the face. It like comes in front of the face, so you're able to breathe a bit more freely.
You will, but I'm just thinking like if it's made of plastic or something, because when you breathe out, it's just going to keep all the condensation will form on the inside of the mask. So it'd be like breathing with something right over your face, like a plastic bag. So I don't know. Maybe
she could breathe downwards, and then the air she would breathe like the air downwards.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't.
Look, good luck with it, Joe. I mean, it's good that you get to work again. All those things that you said about sanitizing, etc. That's exactly what we have in Australia. So the magazines definitely were a big thing. Like no one's allowed to give out magazines. Told to keep talking to a minimum. Good luck with that. I don't know a hairdresser that doesn't talk. I'm very busy, but we can only have a certain amount of people in as it's a one-on-one, a one-in, one-out sort of system. Fair enough. So I can't have as many people in one day. So I'm busy for new normal, but not normal salon busy. Okay, so you can't have people sitting around. Basically, that doesn't make sense. Here we go. Yeah. Adrian says that brown sauce, love it. Brown sauce is amazing. Did you not know fish have fingers? And I'd rather have a visor than a mask. I can't breathe in the masks. Okay. I still have. Okay. I told you, Lauri, before you jumped on that the tagline for this really should be "We rarely talk about pageantry." Oh no, we talked a little bit about pageantry so far.
A little bit, but you know, we've touched base, we've covered it. We can carry on.
I think the pageantry is just on hold in general, but now our podcasts about pageants have to be on hold and talk about other things.
That's true. That would be a good excuse, but I'm not sure that we talked more about pageantry before Corona, if I'm honest. I think it's roughly the same. It just we have an excuse now. Lauren's thinking about this.
I'm like thinking of a topic to bring up about pageants, but to be honest, it's all just gone a bit quiet at the moment.
I'd like to think
people aren't
I'd like to think what are we going to do when it comes to Miss Wales or Miss Earth, when it comes to social distancing? Like, how are they going to actually put on the show? Because where we have Miss Earth England is that it's a fairly small ballroom. So I don't know if you're just going to have a couple of people sat like on one end and a few on the other end, or if it's just going to be one person on, one person off, or even outside. Well,
we were discussing it today in the Miss Wales group chat, because obviously a lot of the finalists, you always create a group chat, don't you, to keep in contact and ask questions. And someone brought up today whether we'd had any updates from Paula, our director, and unfortunately I don't think she has got an update because no one really knows what's going on. But the one thing brought up was the fact that if a Miss Wales is crowned to go to Miss World, obviously next year, or when it's going to be, they're going to have a shorter reign regardless, because obviously Miss World, as far as we know, is still going ahead. And if they have to hand over in April, the original date that Miss Wales is supposed to be, and say they're crowned at the end of the year, it's only going to be like a 4 or 5 month reign. I think the question that I'm trying to ask is, would pageant girls want to have a short reign, or would they want to defer a year so that they get a full year? I don't know how you feel about that, Lauri.
With Miss Earth England, it was a shock to me that it was even in February, because I had literally because I placed third last year, and as soon as the glitter sort of settled, Louise, our director, went, right, okay, next one's in February. And I was like, oh, hang on a second, it's usually in July. So I think that I would be losing, a few weeks if I was lucky enough to be crowned. And September, the end of September, around my birthday, is when they would usually set off for internationals. But I don't have a clue when internationals are for Earth. So to be totally honest, I think if you were going to get a reign, I think you should have a suitable amount of time and agree what that suitable amount of time would be, so that everyone has a fair chance and a fair reign, personally.
I think for me, because obviously Miss Wales is going to be my last pageant, even if I was fortunate enough to win and I had to hand over in April, I think the bigger picture for me is the experience of going to Miss World and being able to do what I can in a short amount of time. And I think it would probably either take you two ways. You would think, oh, well, I've only got this much time. What am I really going to get done in that much time? Or then you could go the other way and be like, wow, I can get so much planned in this short amount of time that I can just go ahead and make the most of it. But I think for me, because I've done so much already as a finalist, if I was fortunate enough to win, I really feel that everything I've done as a finalist would have been amazing to have done as Miss Wales as well. So you've already kind of put those steps in place to, kind of have that whole journey and that kind of experience of being a finalist and potentially becoming Miss Wales and going to Miss World. I know, for example, if your pageant wasn't going to an international pageant, you'd probably feel a bit differently about it because you wouldn't be getting the full year. You wouldn't be going to an international pageant and having that experience. It's like, well, what am I getting out of this? So I think for the girls that maybe wouldn't get the international experience, I would definitely, try and defer a year.
It's one of the situations, because I often say I rarely have sympathy for directors, because I feel like if you choose to be a director, you know full well that it's going to come with a lot of emotional and other difficulties. But in this case, the other side of it also is obviously with directors, if they lose a year and they, I know they don't make a lot of money for the most case from pageants or at all, but losing a year really hurts financially, because basically your whole year is built up to one event. And then you don't have that event.
And you could potentially lose the franchise as well. You could lose the franchise. I've seen it happen multiple occasions where if you don't send a girl that year, you could lose your franchise.
You lose the franchise. So, yeah, I mean, look, there's obviously a lot of other things that have to settle before pageantry can really even, start going back even close to normal. I mean, so we're talking about beginning of August is when we'll have a few of all of the pageants from the sounds of it starting again.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's far from 100%, especially depending on...
I don't think it's going to happen, though.
If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would be, let's just say, if I was Lauri, I could probably eat a bit more cake.
I'm feeling a little bit more cake right now. But we've had a lot of odd sort of goings on with Miss Earth, actually, because we've had a couple of directors who have crowned last year's runners-up as the winners for this year. They've made that sort of snap decision. I was wondering on what you guys' opinion was on that, really.
Oh, geez, I don't really agree with
because it depends, though. If you're like one of those countries that tends to just appoint girls, like for example, when I went to Miss Grand, there was a lot of countries that went just because someone in that country said, "Oh, you can go. I'll pay for you to go." And I get it. That's fine if they're going to do it in that way. Because if maybe they didn't have a final already planned. But for people that have already, for like me, for example, I've already gone through that journey as a finalist. Now, if it was to get to that time and be like, you know what, we're just going to send last year's first runner-up instead of the girls that have already put so much into the finals already, I would be like, no, you may as well just do an online vote then.
Yeah. That's difficult, though. I mean, obviously, you can sort of like if the director is under pressure, and as Lauren said, they lose a franchise if they don't send someone, then if they had finalists and they had to pick one from the finalists, there's a lot of difficulty there. Like, how do you pick a finalist? So, having said that, I would probably still rather run, as much as I hate to say, like an online pageant of some sort, rather than just going, I'll pick the runner-up from last year. I mean, the runner-up from last year might not even be a finalist. Like, so what? You just anyway. It's difficult. But like early August for you guys, I wouldn't be entirely optimistic about having it here. Like even here, I think here could go ahead because we're just starting to roll back some of the restrictions. So now you can have like 50 people in a restaurant. I think that might be 100. You still have to obey social distancing rules. But the thing to remember here, and I remember hearing this on the news with theatres, because pageants obviously are big production. You don't just have the girls on stage. You've got the hairdressers, the makeup artists, the photographers. What you basically have to do, because we have the 4 square meter rule here, you have to take the area of the room and divide it by 4. That's the maximum number of people you're allowed to have in that building. Now, by the time you have all the girls, the MC, the hairdressers, the makeup artists, the directors, etc., what people in theatre were saying, we could start doing our productions again, but we could only have 2 people in the audience. And I think that is the issue. So I know that some pageants, even Holly back at UK Galaxy this year was talking about maybe having to do it without an audience. But can you imagine a pageant without an audience?
Really?
Especially if you're one of those people that thrives off the audience cheers, like you get adrenaline from it.
Yeah, because I know I certainly do. I get very interactive with the audience, and I very much feed off of that, and it makes you feel like you're doing a really good job.
Yeah, you want that adrenaline, right? You're on stage performing. Who wants to perform to an empty room? I mean, I can tell you that the tennis tour is desperately trying to go back. They want to run the US Open in New York, which obviously was ground zero for Corona in the US. And they're pressing ahead, but without an audience. And even that is a bit weird. But at least tennis, you're there to play a game. Whereas, in pageantry, you're there to perform if no one's watching. I just think it would be very, very odd. But but that is an option as well. Caitlin here said in Southern Ireland it's 50 for indoor events and 200 for outdoor events as of today. Okay, that's roughly in line with what's happening in Australia. But yeah, early August is only 5 weeks away.
But is that 200 people allowed to go? Because if you're taking into account the 40 finalists that you've got, plus the judges, plus, people that are going to be helping out, you're only left with 100 audience members then, aren't you, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than nothing, but...
And in turn, the venue itself would make barely any money, so they wouldn't really thank you for that either.
Well, the venues often are the ones that are still charging the same amount. So they're not the ones who are hardest hit. I guess they would lose out on drinks and beverages because not as many people are there. But it's normally the person hiring out the venue that's having the issues. So a director, for example, I'm sure a lot of people with weddings and stuff, they've hired out venues and, they've lost the money. It's not the venues that have to really be worried, at least in the short term. My friend was saying she had a friend that had a wedding cancelled. She booked it over, I think, in Fiji or Bali. And the venue was great, gave all the money back, etc. But the photographer wouldn't. So now there's a $6,000 shoot that's just gone in the wind because that's terms and conditions, I suppose. But you'd think that these are extraordinary circumstances, obviously. Anyway, so that was a bit about pageantry. I will be.
It's a tough one because.
You go, Lauren.
I was going to say it's a tough one because photographers and stuff are losing out on a lot of money due to weddings being cancelled, but then obviously people that are paying for the weddings are losing out on all that money. It kind of just goes round in a circle. I think though, if they, but the photographer should at least given her most of it back and just kept the deposit or something like that.
Yeah, well, it's everyone's struggling at the moment, so really hope that this goes away sooner rather than later. But it depends a lot on people being sensible. I think what's happened is, especially for you guys, because you're in summer, and God knows you don't get much of a summer. To have Corona during summer, well, you can't go out.
Summer anymore. We've had storms. Storms.
Yeah, we've had stormy in the past couple of days, but last week I think it was our heat wave, and that's it for the summer now.
Yeah, we're done now. It's winter. Yay!
Because most of the people I follow on social are from the UK, and I just inundated with all these photos of people being very sunburnt and people looking unusually tanned. Imogen put up a photo of her, and I was like, "You look different." And she's like, "Why, you're not wearing any makeup?" Like, no, are you tanned? It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, that's the difference. You're tanned. I know you guys either went brown or very, very red. Some of you might have done both. But what did it get to? 30 something, right? 30 degrees, 35?
32 where I was.
The most here was about 30, 29, 30.
But for you guys, that's enough. For you guys,
yeah, I couldn't sleep. I was not happy.
Yeah.
If I was in the UK, I wouldn't want to sleep if it was that hot. Oh my God, finally, normal weather. To give you an idea, in Australia, at the beginning of this year, before the Corona madness happened, we had days of 45. That was insane.
Jealous.
I got a bit of heat stroke from that. We were on a long drive, and I had to have the air conditioning blasting the full time. But 45 and 35, there's a huge difference. It gets worse as it gets hotter and hotter. It's still summer for you, right? I mean, the weather could come around, no? It's not just straight into winter we go.
Could.
I'd have to do a Sundance
in a couple of days.
You don't look very hopeful about it when I talk about it.
Because we know what the UK weather's like.
I don't know how you guys do it. And by do it, I mean live over there. It's just, when I look at the weather forecast, it's like, oh God, that's horrible.
Why do you think I'm trying to leave? I'm trying to move.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't blame you. Okay. Well, why don't we wrap this up? Lauri, why don't you tell us what you've got coming up in the near future? Pageant and otherwise.
Oh, okay. Generally, it's just me being at work for the next 3 weeks, and then I've got summer holidays, so 6 weeks off. I'm just hoping and praying that Miss Earth does go ahead, because I've been waiting for it for the past year. And it's the 1 year that I was that one person who said 2020 is going to be my year. And now that's backfired. And
A lot of us feel that way.
And I haven't actually planned a holiday because I knew that Miss Earth was going to be rearranged. So I should probably plan something to look forward to, so that I'm not that brokenhearted when it doesn't go ahead. In fact, I'll get onto that now. Yeah.
You can flip the wallpaper off your room like Lauren did. Just, stop.
Just redecorate. It's fun.
I think I should. Although I think I'll go the polar opposite and make it like a really dark room, so then we could have like a proper contrast.
Or just loads of colour.
Could do.
A rainbow room, and I'll have a grey room.
I like it. It's a frozen room, your room. It's a frozen room.
Kind of going more like the 50 Shades of Grey. How many shades of grey can I get around the room?
I was waiting for you to say that, but
you need to get your head out of the gutter, Adrian.
I've read 50 Shades of Grey. Have you?
I wasn't referencing the book.
I was.
All three. I've got them in my.
I read that book on it, and people go, "Why'd you read it?" And honestly, like, not a word of a lie. It's just because it became such a huge phenomenon. I was like, I need to read it to see why. And I read it.
Into peer pressure.
And I got to say, those are hours of my life I will never get back. I have never read such a gigantic heap of steaming trash in my life.
I've read it 3 times.
That's enough said. It started as a Twilight fan fiction. And the only reason they needed to change the names, because obviously you can't publish a book about Twilight. I was just like, oh God, this book is so awful. Anyway.
Oh, we see when I went to Waterstones, it was in the modern classics section. It was next to Mary Shelley and Pride and Prejudice.
That's not right. I remember there was a stat, like in secondhand bookshops, the most easily available book was 50 Shades of Grey. So that made me feel a bit more positive about society. But to hear it was placed in a classic section, that bookshop is wrong. That should not be allowed.
I went and complained. I said, what is it doing next to Shakespeare?
You got to be or not to be next to 50 Shades of... Jeez, oh God. Just, no. Please tell me, Laurie, please tell me that 50 Shades of Grey is not reading in any school syllabus that you've seen. Please tell me at least that.
No, but the closest
Can you imagine?
The closest we get is a poem called The Highwayman, which I had to edit like profusely and go, oh, that's a bit dark, because it gets a little bit tense.
Yeah, oh, wow. But that's still like classes ahead of 50 Shades of... Anyway, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I hate that book, and I hate Lauren for bringing it up. Lauren, what have you got coming up in the not too distant future?
Well, I'm returning to work on Wednesday and Thursday, and then Thursday evening we have a Zoom call with Gabriella Jukes, the current Miss Wales, and Paula, the director. So fingers crossed, maybe we have an update, maybe we don't, but it'll be fun to catch up with everyone and see what everyone's been up to in lockdown. And then I think that's it, except for getting my room sorted and decorated whilst I'm in work. I'll leave that to my mum and the painter and decorator.
Sounds good. I saw that Gabriella has also joined FM, and she started an Instagram account, Fragrances by Gabriella, but she misspelt it. And I told her this. She spelt it as fragrances, like Gabrielle. And I told her this, and she said, I thought something was wrong when I was searching for it, and I couldn't find it. It's like, yeah, because you spelled it as fragrances. And then her middle name is Francesca. So she said, oh, that could work. But no, she's changed it to fragrances now.
Well, she's trying to make it sound really, really posh, like fragrances. Make it sound
it looked like a spelling mistake. It was fragrances. So she's changed that now anyway. Laura, it looks like you got a fan here. Zanny has said to say hello to you. Zanny from
hi.
Malaysia. Oh.
Hey
There you go. Best of luck to you, Lauri.
Thank you so much.
Hope it'll be the third time lucky for you. Okay. All right. Let's leave it there. Thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you, Lauri, for your time and being our guest.
No worries. Anytime.
You survived the craziness, barely. Lauren, are you okay? You look like you're looking at a wall with a...
My mum is like, are you still on? I'm like, yes. She's looking at me like I'm stupid.
No, just I'm talking to myself, Mum, with my earphones on, so I don't have to listen to you.
I'm just sitting here for the fun of it.
We should have just got your mum on since we're down Danielle. Your mum should have just sat in for her. I'm sure your mum would have a lot to say. Lauren's going no.
No, definitely not. You do not.
I'm sure she'll have a lot of interesting stories about you, Lauren.
Probably.
The
She
first time I
probably.
met Lauren, actually, it was her mum who came out in front of her and went, "Hi!" And I went, "Oh."
Probably. It's very embarrassing.
That's a job of a parent, is to embarrass their kids.
Yeah, it probably is actually.
Well, having said that, in this podcast, you did use the word needle in your bum, so I think you're doing a pretty good job of that yourself.
How else are you
Several
supposed to describe having a needle in your bum?
I just wouldn't bring it up. Anything going in my rear end, I wouldn't be talking about it.
I'm an open book.
My mind went to some very dark places there.
This is why we're after the watershed, Lauri, so I can make those jokes and some people can get them. And some people can go, oh, yeah, no, that's okay. Okay. All right, let's leave it there before we get into more trouble. Thank you, Lauren, for your time as well. And hopefully we will have Danielle back next week. Everyone stay safe. I know it's difficult times. It's like we feel like we should be out of it, but we're not. So stay safe. And we will see you again next week. What's up, guys? It's Adrian again. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to head over to pageantlaunch.com. Join our launch team for our review site. It's super important to all of us to make sure that the industry is safe, transparent, and fair. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, write in your email address, and we'll speak to you next time.